It's harder than ever to make genuine in-person connections. With everyone's eyes constantly glued to their screens, many have difficulty connecting with real people in verbal communication. Comprehending and digesting everything that a person can say is pretty difficult, to say the least. And without constant practice, it can hinder your ability to truly connect with someone on a deeper level. How to Communicate: The Ultimate Guide to Improving Your Personal and Professional Relationships by Drs. Matthew McKay, Martha Davis, and Patrick Fanning delve deep into the communication process and the skills needed to not only prosper in communication, but also how to make others feel they are truly being listened to. What should you say? How should you say it? Will people even care what you have to say? This book was not only able to answer these questions, but it also provides concrete strategies to better communicate your own thoughts and opinions, as well as listen to and respond to the thoughts of others. So how can we improve our communication skills? Let me share some key takeaways that you can apply in your entrepreneurial journey. Being silent does not mean you are listening. In order for someone to truly be listening, they need to have a purpose for doing so. There are 4 reasons why you should be listening to someone: to understand someone, to enjoy someone, to learn something, or to give help or solace. You'll notice that when you're fulfilling one of these 4 reasons, active listening comes rather naturally. When you're conversing with a friend and you're enjoying the conversation, it's much easier for you to listen with intention. When you want to understand someone better, you are present and actively listening. Pseudo-listening is the complete opposite of active listening. Pseudo-listeners are half listeners. They only listen to what they want to hear. They aren't fully invested and instead opt to pick and choose parts of the whole idea. However, many people confuse their pseudo-listening with real listening. The authors of the book go on to say, unfortunately, a lot of pseudo-listening masquerades as the real thing. The intention is to listen, but to meet some other need. Some examples of the needs pseudo-listeners are trying to meet are making people think they're interested so they'll like them, listening for specific pieces of information and ignoring everything else, stalling for a time until they prepare their next comment, looking for the weak points in an argument so they can always be right, half listening because a good, kind, or nice person would, or half listening because they don't want to offend someone and don't know how to get away. Do any of these reasons for pseudo-listening sound familiar? Pseudo-listening is a bad habit and everyone falls into it sometimes. However, if your pseudo-listening is outweighing your active listening, this will begin to spell problems for you. Listen with intention. While reading, one begins to understand that many people struggle with genuinely absorbing the information and ideas presented to them through conversation. Have you ever felt that even despite conversing or listening to someone for a prolonged period of time, you feel that you took away nothing from it? Well, here's a huge reason why. The book presents 12 key blocks to active listening. Tell me if these look familiar. Comparing. While you're listening, you're constantly comparing yourself to the speaker. Mind reading. Attempting to try and figure out what the speaker is really thinking. Rehearsing. You are too busy rehearsing what you are going to say. Filtering. You listen to some things but ignore others. Judging. Judging someone's opinions and writing them off as silly or wrong prevents you from listening. Dreaming. When you listen, something the other person says triggers a memory in your mind and you begin to daydream. You forget about the other person. Identifying. You take whatever a person tells you and refer it back to your own experiences and cut off the other person in order to tell your story. Advising. You only listen to a certain amount before trying to offer advice and solutions. Sparring. You are always quick to disagree and constantly start debates or arguments. The person never feels truly heard. Being right. You're willing to go to extreme lengths to avoid being wrong. Derailing. You constantly love to change the subject. Placating. You continuously agree with everything so others will like you. Listening blocks stifle our ability to truly listen and understand the other person. It is always important to recognize which blocks you frequently use, as well as the situations you use them in the most. This will allow you to pinpoint which situations you need more practice in. Lastly, remember how listening doesn't mean just being silent? It is imperative for us listeners to stay fully engaged and give the speaker feedback to let them know that we are indeed listening. How can we improve our active listening while avoiding pseudo-listening or listening blocks? Also, how can we provide feedback to the speakers? The book gives us a few practical strategies for not only staying engaged, but also listening with purpose and intention. Paraphrasing. State the ideas presented in your own words. Not only does it keep you focused, but it also does the following. People feel much more appreciated. It stops escalating anger and cools down the conversation, stops miscommunication, helps you remember what was said, and it stops you from engaging in listening blocks. Clarifying. Similar to paraphrasing, it merely means asking more questions to better understand the ideas being presented. Helps you sharpen your listening focus so that you hear more than just generalities. You hear events in the context of how the person felt and how it relates to the speaker. And it lets the speaker know that you're interested and willing to understand them. Feedback. After processing the information using the 2 strategies mentioned above, now it's time to give your own opinion. Be non-judgmental and simply share your thoughts and reactions. Feedback must be immediate, honest, and supportive. It helps speakers know the effect of their communication. Communication is pretty tough, but these are strategies that one can begin to implement almost immediately, and they can help you reach your communication goals quickly and effectively. With these 3 strategies, you'll begin to see a shift in the way you interact and communicate with others. Now go out there and create a future that defies limits.